Senate Democrats from Arizona squared off yesterday with Speaker Mike Johnson outside of his office over an elected Democrat from their state who has not yet been sworn in. That's Congresswoman-elect Adelita Grijalva, who won her special election more than 2 weeks ago. Since then, Johnson has cited that the House is not in session, as well as the government shutdown, which came after her victory, as to why she hasn't been sworn in. That's one of his jobs, to swear in new members. Here's some of yesterday's exchange between Senator Ruben Gallego and the Speaker.
Ms. Grijalva, Rep-elect Grijalva, has not yet had a scheduled date because she was elected after the House was out of session. So I am anxious to administer the oath to her as soon as you guys vote to open the government.
You don't want to be on the Epstein discharge. How much?
It's totally absurd. You guys are experts at red herrings and distraction.
Moving along.
No, it has nothing to do with Epstein. The House Oversight Committee is working on the Epstein files right now, releasing 34,000 pages and more on the way.
You know, she's key to
Let me finish. The House Oversight Committee.
Come up with excuses. This is an excuse, so she doesn't sign on to that.
This is absurd.
This is the longest time the House.
Do you want me to answer the question? If you ask the question, let me
actually answer the question.
So you heard Senator Gallego refer to Epstein there. That's because Democrats believe Johnson is stalling because Grijalva would be the final signature needed on a discharge petition that the Speaker opposes that would force a vote on the release of the Epstein files. And we should also note that back in April, while the House was not in session, Johnson did swear in 2 Republican representatives from Florida the day after their elections. So the idea that they're in a pro forma session or not technically in active session right now is not actually a reason to not swear people in. That's why people are calling out the hypocrisy right now. Joining us now, Democratic Congressman Gabe Amo of Rhode Island. You don't have the ability to swear in your colleagues, so I won't bother asking you about that. But we are on day 9 here, and we're starting to see tensions boil over. You're seeing the Speaker there try to use the leverage of not swearing in a member from Arizona to try to get these Democratic senators that are currently voting no on reopening the government to get them to vote yes, saying, all right, you want your member voted in and her constituents to have representation? Just vote to reopen the government. Are these the kind of clashes, though, that voters want to see? I mean, it doesn't feel like it helps anything.
Well, at the end of the day, what you see with my colleagues from the Senate and you see with my colleagues in the House who have shown up to work in contrast to House Republicans who are on their extended vacation is an urgency to deal with the shutdown. The Republican shutdown, it's very clear how Republicans can get our country out of this. They control the House, they control the Senate, they control the White House. Let's do right by the American people, deal with the health care crisis that they've created, and swear in my colleague who was rightfully elected by her constituents, and they're disenfranchising the people of Arizona in that congressional district. I came to Congress in a special election. My swearing in, Speaker Johnson's first, happened just a week after my election. That was the right thing to do. We should see my colleague, Rep-elect Grijalva, sworn in ASAP and stop the political games. And it is true that this is because of Epstein. They can come up with whatever reason they want for their obstruction here, but they are hiding something, and it's time to do the right thing.
Yeah, and I asked the Speaker about this. He says, no, we're going to get to it after the shutdown is over, but that pressure is clearly mounting now. You have spent more time at home because of the shutdown, because of the fact that you haven't been in session here. Is the fact that we're on day 9 of our first full, not partial government shutdown in many, many years, is that trickling into the minds of your constituents? Do they understand fully the contours of this? And really, as we're tracking the blame game, are they playing it?
Well, at home, I've gone all across the 1st Congressional District of Rhode Island, and I've heard resoundingly 2 things. One, people understand that there is a health care crisis. You know, the average person on our health exchange, our marketplace, Health Source Rhode Island, would pay $1,200 more a year. That's a real cost. And families are making decisions now. This nonsense about December 31st does not compute for the household who is sitting at their kitchen table and struggling because of the cost of living crisis that Donald Trump has created to really put together a plan, a financial plan for their family. So that's one. The second is people are starting to feel the impacts. I went down to the federal building in Providence and saw that the Veterans Benefit Office is closed. This is where people who have served our nation can go and get assistance with a home loan or education assistance. That office is closed. I've spoken with people who are concerned about government programs functioning, Social Security, IRS, calling one of these offices and not being sure they're going to get the customer service that they deserve. So it is not just trickling in. If you're an affected population, you are feeling the impacts of the shutdown right now, today.
You have the unique experience of having worked in White Houses during shutdowns, now being in Congress during this shutdown. What are you seeing here specifically over the issue of if workers should get back pay or not? It's one of the new leverage points that the White House is talking about, withholding that, despite a 2019 rule that the Trump administration made that ensured that these folks rightly got their back pay. They're being basically furloughed for reasons that they don't have any control over, right? What are you seeing in this current debate over whether or not to pay them, given the way that you've seen a few sides of this?
Yeah, well, look, I think it demonstrates the cruelty of the Trump administration and Republicans in Congress to even make this a question. Like, as a young staffer in the Obama White House during the Ted Cruz-led shutdown of 2013, I knew what that uncertainty was like. Now, I was a younger man with less responsibility, but you think about all the people who have to hold up their households and are seeing a question on whether they deserve pay for the job that they want to be doing, to do this public service, to work in the federal government. You want to do this work. And for some reason, these attacks on federal workers happen over and over and over again, demonstrating the cruelty of Donald Trump and congressional Republicans. It should not be a question. These people should and will, because we will make sure that they get the back pay that they deserve.
Yeah, I mean, I've covered other shutdowns in the past, the one in 2019 specifically. I was meeting folks who, when they don't know when their next paycheck is coming, they're making real life decisions. I mean, I remember meeting a family whose daughter dropped out of college, just deferred a semester because they didn't know if they were going to be able to make tuition payments, and she wanted her mom to be able to make rent that month. So these are stories that I take with me in these moments, and I would urge all of you to remember who is at the center of this. I think the only question that I have left is Republicans are set to meet on a call at around 11:30 this morning. That's some new reporting from me and my colleague Michael Schnell. Do you get the sense that Marjorie Taylor Greene, who does have her kind of own brand and can maybe speak more loudly about her disagreements with leadership, do you think that there are more Republicans who are ready to buck Republican leadership and say, no, we got to get back to town, we got to do something on the ACA?
Well, I think what Marjorie Taylor Greene is doing is inspiring her Republican colleagues to speak truth to power. This is one of these rare times where we're going to be in agreement.
But an awkward friendship on this.
But look, I'll take it, because at the end of the day, all of my colleagues on the Republican side are at home. They are hearing from their constituents without a doubt, and they are saying, I am going to see 100%, 200% increases in my health care. Remember, most of these people who are affected by these tax credits are in the red states.
Yeah.
And so it will be a clear dereliction of duty if they continue to be silent. So I appeal to their better angels. Come to the table, encourage Mike Johnson, encourage John Thune to actually work for the constituencies to stop this health care crisis, to stop this Republican shutdown. Do the right thing, like Spike Lee said.
And we are going to see exactly how long this ultimately ends up lasting. I mean, I think that is an open question, and lawmakers are at this point unwilling to move their votes on the Senate side. But that doesn't mean that the contours of this debate aren't changing. I think that they slightly have around whether if, but now when, to negotiate on health care. Congressman Gabe Amo of Rhode Island, we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.